guys, this is Chad Carouthers. I've been here with Worship Online today, and I've been so happy and excited about doing this video series. And I'm so thankful that I got to partner with these guys to do this, because there are some serious issues that us guitar players deal with, and that is comparison, and that is envy, gear envy, and maybe feeling inadequate or maybe embarrassed if this is the type of pedal board you pull out of the case and you don't even have a case and you just show up with this. I wanted to do these videos with these guys because it's such a passion of mine to start removing this illusion that you have to have a certain type of gear in order to be viewed as a good player or viewed as a valid member of your worship team. It couldn't be further from the truth. I'm gonna break this down into two sections. One, we're gonna talk about like the spiritual aspect of it. The second part is I'm gonna talk about some practical things that you can do that just help move things along. Is gonna be in part two. So hit the link in the description, put your email in, and you'll be able to get a bunch of great information to just get you up to the next level. All right, so this kind of started for me when I was like 16 years old, and I was in a band and with some older players, and they all had, the nice pedal board, and their amps were in, beautiful road cases, and they had all the right stuff. And I moved out at 16, dropped out of high school, so I didn't really have that great of a start. And so it started for me then, looking at, the other players and the other people, and we were loading our stuff into the van and stuff into the trailer, and I'm just was like, oh man, I don't have like cases for my amps. They're getting beat up, and they're not, I must not be that good of a player because I'm not getting the high enough paying gigs to be able to do that. The things that I started saying to myself were just toxic. That's the best way to put it. Just absolute toxic internal monologue, because no one viewed me as that. The guys I was working with and the bands I was working with, they were sweet people, really sweet people, but it was the things that I allowed myself to start thinking and dwelling on that was just eating me alive, and it was absolutely horrible and really unnecessary. I remember, having conversations with guitar players about their true bypass loops and their MIDI controlled this and that, and they had a certain, trinity of pedals on top of their boards, and it looked a certain way, and they only would play American-made stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I just remember that I kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper into thinking, man, if I don't have that, like, I'm not viewed as enough. That's probably the biggest thing. I'm not viewed, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not a good enough player. I'm not a good enough musician because I don't have a possession. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. So the thing that I really had to come to learn was this. God knew exactly what he was doing when he put the desire to, play music. And he knew the struggles that I would go through. He knew the hurdles that I would have to walk through, the setbacks, the seasons, all the negative stuff. He knew all that. And the thing that I really feel like he was just waiting for was for me to finally come to terms with the type of player and person I am in him first, and finding my confidence and my unique fingerprint on just in anything in him first. So I remember I was with a buddy of mine, and this was, a couple years ago even. This still is something that kind of creeps up every now and then, because that's just a normal thing. It's a normal part of life for some of us musicians, and it's a struggle that I have. So I was sitting with a friend of mine, and he just looked at me. He's like, dude, why do you care? It's like, you realize God created you to play like you, and it's way better for the guitar community, for the music community, to have a Chad than to have 2.0 version of somebody else. I looked up to other players, and it's great to take inspiration, but taking inspiration and like, oh man, that's really cool, and that's great. That's one thing. But looking at it and like, okay, I gotta do that. I gotta move just like that person. I gotta have that tone. He only plays, white struts that are beat up, and it's, like, that's not it. That's not what it's about at all. It's better for you to fully be who you are, whether you're playing a pedal board that has 2 pedals on it, whether you're playing the Starship Enterprise pedal board, that's fantastic. The thing that I wanted to do with this video is to instill in you the importance of you being fully who you are meant to be. In this moment, in this season. First of all, it's really hard for us because, one, we live in an age where you can just go on Instagram and you're just constantly seeing, oh man, that's the gear I want, that's the gear I want, that's the gear I want, and this is what I have. And all of a sudden you become discouraged and uninspired and unsatisfied with what you have. When in reality, you're missing a beautiful opportunity for God to use you through your simple board. I know that's so elementary, but this is how I broke it down for just myself as just one area of my life, Like, oh man, well this is this is the gear that I have right now. How can I be fully who I am and then thus giving glory to God in doing that? Because that's all he wants. He created you to be fully unique, fully you, and he just wants you to do that. He created you to be this really beautiful, unique person. So do it and use what's in front of you. The biggest thing that I want to encourage you to do is bring what you have and exactly who you are at this point. When I say bring what you have, if there's an opportunity for you to step onto your worship team, or if there's a need that you feel like you could fill, but you maybe don't have the best of things, I'm encouraging you to just bring what you have, because bringing what you have as an offering, and if this is your best right now, then that's what you bring. And if you bring your best and you just say, look, God, I know this, and we're just talking about gear, but this can be applied to any area of your life. If you just bring this, and you're like, God, I know this is what I know, and this is all I have, but I know in your hands it can be used to do far more. If you can get past that, if you can remove any type of comparison, embarrassment, insecurity, if you can remove all that, and if you can step past that and realize that that is strictly just a hurdle for you to step over and not be held back from, you bring this and you bring your best and you bring what you have as an offering, you will see some amazing results. And the stories that I've seen in my own personal life of when I've stepped out and maybe not had the best, not had the most expensive, or not had anything, but I've put myself out there, I've watched God then fill the rest of that gap. To wrap up all of the spiritual aspect of it, all you have to remember is that your best is enough. That who you are and how you're wired is enough in God's hands. Because if that's your focus and that's your goal, is like, I'm going to bring my best and give it to him, then everything else it really doesn't matter. And your focus and your heart are realigned back to God loving you and loving his creation, which is you. So the next thing I would do is I would challenge you. I would really challenge you to step into that. What would happen if you just said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to audition at the next, round of, next time our church needs a guitar player, a bass player, or whatever. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. And I don't care, because I feel like this is what God's wanting me to do. I feel this is a gift that I have. And I challenge you. I challenge you to step into that and just to see what God then does. So emotionally, spiritually, I challenge you to just put yourself out there and really only care what God says about you. And he says you're enough. He says that you are a beautiful creation, the exact way that you're designed, and the exact way you think, the exact way you play, the way that you approach music. He thinks that's great. So I challenge you to stop caring about what I or any other guitar player or any other musician thinks, and you just focus on who God calls you to be. The next challenge I give you is, let's start applying some actual mechanics, and let's see what we can do to use this time and use this season to build up our skill. That's what we're going to do in part 2. Click the link, put your email in, and we'll go through this all in part 2. All right.